Hi folks, MasakoX here. For this last part of Nappa Turned Good, I'm going to omit the usual recap and instead, we shall get straight into it, as it's quite important. But do keep an eye out for the full story edition of this video where I'll add an extra epilogue scene that you won't see here. It's coming very soon. But let's go. As his breathing was getting more frantic, Nappa looked through the smoke. The beast was towering over everyone, mightier and larger than even the fiercest of Ozaru. Kami could not hold it back for long. Where were the others? Nappa could barely see them through all that smoke. He got confused. So much stimuli left him rather confused for his age. The remnants of old battles started to mix themselves in with what was currently happening, almost as if he were hallucinating and his mind was splitting. He tried to focus his thoughts and realize why he was here and how this could have happened. As his posse gathered, Nappa knew that they needed to find the source of those androids. After all, if they were strong enough to give him quite the beating, he needed all the support that he could muster. Archer and Otala, the two apprentices of Kami, were listening to this whole exchange with a certain curiosity. After all, it wasn't often that they could participate in this kind of action. And whilst they did enjoy training under their master Kami, a chance to have a break from the scrolls, books and martial arts was a welcome one. Nappa was trying to hide his concern before the group. The longer he thought about it, the more the possibility of numbers 1 and 2 being some sort of weak legacy act of the previous Red Ribbon Army started to feel unlikely. It was a concerning idea. Someone running the army again. And if there were Red Ribbon machines strong enough to give him trouble, who knows what else there was. But how should it even start approaching this issue? These two androids were looking for more of them? 17 smirked, readying himself for some action. So what's the objective? Blow them up?
Nah, they seem to be misguided like you two were. Boa, you got anything?
Not right now. The girl looked at her wristwatch, which basically would be the equivalent of our world smartwatches.
I really should have followed those two bucketheads.
There is this outfit called Red Pharmaceuticals, Bulla said. Mom suspected it had something to do with the Red Ribbon Army, but figured out that it was just an old front that had basically become yet another shady organization. So your mother knew about it and never told us? We could have destroyed it ages ago. Krillin tried to ease the tension.
We got no proof, so we couldn't have done anything even if we wanted to.
Kami cleared his throat.
In any case, this seems to be the right place to have a little look around. Are we trying to be inconspicuous?
Nappa shook his head.
Quite the opposite. If they come to us, it would be easier to try and figure out what to do with them. Work with Broly.
Goten nodded. Yeah, hopefully these guys are just as misguided. An old project that somebody found? We could stomp them out.
Yeah, about that. They seemed, kind of new.
New? How would you know that? 17 rotated his head.
I don't know how to phrase it, but you remember the whole thing with the Saiyan squad? I'm no expert about that, but it felt, they felt kind of like that.
The confusion made him forget where he was for a moment, as he saw the beast roaring, tall and mighty, shooting beams from its body. He saw the two Gammas trying to stop it, but even their power was nothing in compared to that. Goten was screaming something to him, but he couldn't hear the words. Krillin was grabbing Nappa's sleeve.
Nappa! We gotta go! Nappa!
Yes, they had to go, but where? Back to report to King Vegeta? No, that was years ago. What was he talking about? Planet Sheik had similar smoke to now, but it was them who caused it, not the monster. He looked at said monster, who again looked familiar. Where was Gohan? Shouldn't he be helping him train against him? No, that wasn't it. His mind was really not in it at the moment. He was mixing things up with what happened ages ago. Had there something to do with the fusion? As they approached the building, they clearly saw that it was well guarded. A little too well guarded for a simple pharmaceutical complex. True, years ago they were apparently responsible for the distribution of a certain knockoff version of animorpholine. You know, that's the thing that caused the whole Beastman trend and why there are no animals anymore in Dragon Ball. And it might have held some other connections that were even more dangerous in the wrong hands. The bodyguards in the front were just men in suits, but the ones that they managed to spot, hidden from plain sight, they looked like regular Red Ribbon Army soldiers. They could see a certain tension about them. Hey fellas, nice day we got here. 17 tried to look as casual as possible while saying this.
Yeah, yes, sir.
18 folded her arms. Say, boys, you don't happen to know where we can find the Gammas? The bodyguard seemed rather nervous.
Never heard of them, ma'am.
17 sighed loudly. You see, I'm a pretty relaxed guy, but my sister, oh boy, she hates it when somebody lies to her face. You don't want to see the reaction, guys. A shot from a weapon was heard, and 18 effortlessly blocked it with her forearm. I warned you. Before they were able to speak any further, a group of mercenaries and mechs came out from the building. As you can probably imagine, they were no challenge for the Dragon team. All they had to do was just be careful not letting their guard down when they weren't focusing on deflection. After some beating down, Nappa picked up one of the lackeys from the ground.
All right, let's try this again. Where are the Gammas? They're not here. They're on some job for the boss. We don't have anything else, I swear.
Boss? As in? Bulla raised her eyebrow.
Commander Magenta!
Bulla tapped her watch for some context and got it. Ah, there he is! Magenta, the owner of Red Pharmaceuticals, rumored to be Commander Red's son. You know, now I think about it, I can't see the resemblance. Before they could think about their next move, Nappa got an urgent call from Janet, Pan's teacher.
No, they wouldn't. Guys, we gotta take a detour.
What? Why? Krillin looking shocked. Nappa touched the top of his head and felt something there. There was still some blood left on it, and he started to feel funny. He looked at Krillin. One moment he was fighting this little annoyance, as told by Vegeta. Then the next, he saw him falling against the androids. And then, later, failing future Bulma against Gohan Black. Poor Gohan. If he hadn't pushed him so hard, he would never have become... Wait, no. That was the Margin one. This other one was the Kai. Was it Shin? No, the other Kai! Nappa realized that the monster was holding a gigantic version of Kami overhead, and that right now he was a scared and confused old man in the middle of hell. The sight that they saw in the kindergarten was scary at first, but it brought them some relief. It turns out that some soldiers tried to kidnap the little Pan, trying to take her to their plane, but they did not expect such a strong resistance from her, and they were subsequently stopped. What was even better is that they left the plane. As Krillin called support to take the goons in, Bulla realized that she could probably use that plane's internal systems for their advantage, to try and get them into Red Ribbon Army's main base. Pan, however, was adamant on staying with Uncle Nappa and Uncle Goten.
No, you'll be safer at home, honey.
Nappa tried to reason with her. If Daddy's not home, then I'm gonna be safer with you.
I don't like it, but... All right, hop on the plane. But don't leave it until you're told, okay? You stay with Bulla.
Okay. Nappa patted her on the head.
Good girl.
And with the plane intact, the group launched an attack on the headquarters. They also informed Bulma, who would come in with her own plane, in case they needed a quick pickup, whilst also trying to contact Whis. Unbeknownst to Nappa, Carthay also hitched a ride with Bulma. Why was this blasted angel never responding when they needed the most? The plane's internal systems allowed them to hoodwink the security detail, but they were quickly spotted by the soldiers. However, the enemy that was sent after them was none other than the Gammas, who were ordered by some scientist brat to act. Well, it was meant to be a young man, but to Nappa, he looked like just another kid. So, you survived after all, old man. Good. Round 2 for me and you. Gamma 2 tried to look menacing.
Look, if you truly believe you're heroes, then you're playing for the wrong team.
Typical. You take us for fools. Gamma 1 was looking really dispassionate about that remark. As they started to fight, they discovered that not only had Kami's power increased drastically, but the numbers were no longer in their favor, as Nappa, when aided by the androids and Goten, started to become a problem for them. Not only that, but that brat scientist saw the panic of one of the suits watching everything from the safety of the nearby balcony. Goten noted that he'd rushed after the shorter man, but when the taller one was still watching, something else happened. Nevertheless, the Gammas were still powerful, and the combined forces of all of the present Z fighters, they were merely keeping them at bay. At one point, Bulla decided to scan the scientist guy. Dr. Hedo. There isn't much known about this one. It's almost as if all the data about him had been erased. She actually got so consumed in searching for more information about Hedo that she completely overlooked Pan sneaking away from her and trying to take a swing at one of the goons watching the fight. As the man on the balcony, the one with the coiffeur, saw her, he decided to take aim. The shot could be heard, but it was blocked by none other than Gamma 1. We're shooting children now? You know, Carmine, I think I'm starting to believe the old saying, Gamma 1 said menacingly. Before Carmine could call for further help, Goten was already at the balcony and delivered a punch that caused all the goons to run away in terror. 17 smiling. Okay guys, let's just get a truce. So, are we cousins or something? Did Jiro build you too? Dr. Jiro, please. That old fossil is much less brilliant than his grandson, Dr. Hedo. 18 blinked twice. Wait, what? As the situation seemed to ease, the Gammas quickly explained their story.
So, you're the strongest they have?
Well, there's the big guy in the sublab, Gamma 2 said. But no one will be stupid enough to actually—
Magenta launched Max! We gotta evacuate!
Nappa looked at the Gammas.
Who's Max?
Well, he's about to find out who Max was very soon. As Nappa's mind was trying to keep itself together, he remembered the last conversation that he'd had with Whis. Are you sure? You still have a lot of potential left in you. The angel smiled politely at him.
Nah, my body hasn't much left to give, you know. I'm afraid that if I push myself any further, that whatever power I'll get will most likely tear me apart. This whole godly training thing is for the youngsters. I've had my fair share of adventures.
You know that I can easily age you down. You can relive your prime again. You've more than earned that, Nappa.
That doesn't seem fair, you know, and a little cowardly. I've been dreading this moment for many years, you see, but you know what? I think I'm ready to face my old age. I always wanted to fall in battle, but, you know, I'm satisfied with what my life's given me.
Whis nodded at him. You are a remarkable being, Nappa. Not many mortals would make the same choice that you've made. You've earned my respect. Suddenly, in that moment, Nappa saw it. He saw the beast towering over them. It kept growing, and it looked just like Cell, but larger, fiercer, madder.
Okay, everyone. We need to work together to take this thing down. Cover me!
As Nappa led the charge, everyone flew next to him in formation. The creature was demolishing the Red Ribbon base, creating plumes of smoke. Bulla evacuated herself and Pan, feeling really bad that she let her slip away, even for just a second. She was about to rendezvous with her mother on the way. The beast was screaming, and as Nappa and the others were throwing ki blasts at it, they were having no effect. As Nappa started to desperately charge and attack, the gigantic fist of Cell Max hit him and sent him careening into a building. His ears were ringing. He felt a pain in his skull. Something was wrong. He remembered the other parts of the fight as if he were looking through them through mist. Krillin found him. Kami now started to radiate with an orange light, and then later growing to gigantic proportions, loomed over them. He was in control, at least for a moment. Krillin then told him something. 4 androids trying to stop it in the distance. The scientist guy yelling something at him. For a moment, Nappa actually felt cozy. It could all end here for all he cared. He'd be okay with it. No more noise. No more confusion. His brain would be free from all of these black entanglements that had gathered lately. The beast was moving toward him. But in the distance, he saw 2 planes. And as Krillin was taking him away, his communicator started ringing. Nappa? Nappa, are you all right? It was Cathay, trying to contact him.
I have Nappa, Cathay! Shouted Krillin. But he got hit pretty bad. Hopefully Goku and Gohan will get here soon. Otherwise, we're done for. Cathay.
Nappa looked at the planes.
Get away from here.
He looked at Kami, who in this weird gigantic form was now looming over the monster's head. And as he threw him away, he launched a gigantic mouth beam right at the planes.
No! No! No!
Future Bulma. He remembered how he failed her. But also, Pan, you still have a lot of potential in you. Bulla. If Gohan found out he'd failed them, he would never forgive him. You still have a lot of potential in you. From the noise, he could make out the words of that yelling science guy.
Aim for the head! It's the weak spot!
You still have a lot of potential in you. Nappa looked at his bleeding hands and roared. He called forth both his berserker and ultimate powers. And, like a sculptor in the moment, he started to sculpt. In the Furore, Nappa had changed. He wasn't in his berserker form, nor in his ultimate form. No. this was different. Nappa's skin was now a light grey, his beard a lighter shade than ever, but his veins were burning like lava on the surface of said skin, like a volcano glowing, as if he had been shattered and put back together again with molten lava. He roared akin to Broly, which got Max's attention.
Youngsters, move away!
As he charged upon Cell Max, the monster tried to slap him away like he was some annoying fly, but to its own shock, this fly simply drilled through the hand. Kami saw this and was shocked at this new power.
Nappa, what's in the... Hold it from me!
Nappa was unnaturally hot.
Stop it!
As the air around him moved and swirled violently, and the falling rain was simply turning into steam as it made contact with his body. As Kami caught the monster, who was still roaring over the fact that he'd had a hole punctured through his hand, Nappa jumped on its head. He gathered every single ounce of energy he had to prepare a volcano explosion, but this time, he was the volcano. He was Nappa, the relic. As he touched the top of Cell Max's head, it exploded with a fiery might.
Do it now!
5 beams fired from the androids and Krillin and hit the monster's body, which then disintegrated in a massive explosion. But from within, they could still see the glow of Nappa's body. As the dust settled, Nappa saw, in the air, Bulla holding Pan and Goten holding Bulma and Cafe. He took a deep breath, gave them the thumbs up, smiling, but then collapsed to the ground like a doll from hundreds of feet in the air. Everyone gathered around him concerned, as Kami, who'd now lost that weird orange shoe, turned Nappa over back onto his back. Nappa was smiling. He was still warm, but his eyes were closed, and his body was left with deep scars, where those lava-like veins had been. He wasn't breathing. Kafi put her hand on his chest and wept. Nappa was gone. Goku and Gohan never forgave themselves for missing this fight. Maybe if they had been there, they could have stopped Nappa from doing something so drastic. He'd still be here. But what was that power? In the end, Kafe relieved them all of their guilt by telling them that Nappa's dream had come true. He went down fighting. They could, however, still feel that she was mourning. I mean, how could she not? Her art style became more somber after that day, though there was one particular painting she treasured over all of them, featuring a large volcano, something that brought her hope. And despite Nappa no longer being there, the Dragon team ensured that Cafe would be well looked after till the end of her days. As for Hedo and the Gammas, they joined Capsule Corp and helped Bulma and Yamcha make the world better. Many years later, when Cafe passed on to the Otherworld, she was welcomed not by a queue at the Otherworld check-in station, her body turning into a cloud. No, she still had it, and found herself in a beautiful meadow, and she knew that this meadow was for her. This was his garden.
Hey! Took you long enough, but I had some time to make things as they should be.
She embraced him strongly. You know, they wanted to bring you back.
It was my time. They did well. You did well.
Nappa guided her to a table with some drinks on it and asked her to sit down.
So, tell me everything.
And that, my dear viewers, you'll find out more of in the epilogue and full story video coming soon. See you there.